A lot of them are coming together. A lot of them are coming together after huge fights. So, they are sitting separately in the waiting areas and in the waiting rooms, and which is okay. And obviously an option of treatment which suits what they want, because it's not like other medical conditions, 1, 2, 3, and then after the 3, there you are cured of whatever, X, Y, Z. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Despite doing the 1, 2, 3, you don't receive the 3. My name is Dr. Ansha Patel, and I'm qualified as a clinical reproductive psychologist and a therapist and a mindfulness-based interventionist. I'm currently based in Udaipur, and I'm affiliated to the RMT Medical College, Paris Healthcare, and a couple of other hospitals. I'm running my own setup now, since I'm specialized in this, as you said, rare field. So my own center is the Clinic for Psychological Counseling for Reproductive Health and Challenges. One of them then is infertility, because it becomes a hugely difficult issue to live with. And this is based at my own setup, CMBS Udaipur.
Right. So your own setup, do you do offline, online scheduling also, or do you just do everything offline?
Things have changed a lot, post-pandemic. And thanks to pandemic, we've learned new ways of living. One includes using telemedicine, and I'm so glad to connect to you. We would have never met each other.
That's true.
Otherwise. So a lot of the work is now online based. And we are very happy to do it with a lot of people, because in a lot of subsets of people, online therapy works as best as offline therapy, which includes minor anxiety issues, minor depressive issues, couple issues, adjustment disorders, stress-related syndromes. So that is all telemedicine, telepsychiatry. For the ones who are needing acute, severe help for their symptoms, we do offline work. That's how we are placed.
So it's a marriage of both offline and offline, online and offline, that works for you.
True.
Very nice. True. Could you please tell us from your own experience and in your own words, what infertility means to you?
See, infertility is obviously a condition where a couple is trying to conceive, and there is a designated medical terminology within which it's not happening. And as a person from mental health field, a lot of background emotional activity starts happening.
Yes.
What if this? What if that? What not? So what I am and what I thought I would be, nobody imagines themselves to not being able to reproduce.
That's true.
That's not a subset with which at least the ones from Asian backgrounds grow. We don't grow with that kind of a subset.
Yes.
We grow with communities, families, social groups. And one imagines, I will also be placed in the middle of being a mother, being in a family, taking my children to school, a lot of those million things. So it's a very big blow to self-esteem. It's an immensely painful blow.
Yes.
And that is how I see it, happens, is the psychological sequel starts from there.
And it's a very painful journey for anyone concerned, because like you said, nobody imagines growing up that they will face fertility issues. And Achanak say your body is fine, your health is fine, but you're not able to reproduce, and therefore your entire identity is questioned. So it's very tough, I'm sure, for so many of us. And therefore, could you tell us, when you deal with someone who is going through fertility issues, how you proceed to treat them, how you talk to them?
I'm very glad you have posed this question, because it varies a lot from how the couple is being approached to counseling. Particularly, a couple wants a child, they're not able to have a child, they directly go for evaluation to a medical doctor or to an infertilologist. They don't happen to imagine themselves seeing a psychologist, and that is not very well placed in our background. A lot of times what happens is, when we are positioned in a medical college background, the couple doesn't question the parallel referral to a dietitian or to a physiotherapist or to a psychologist, because there is a lot of faith that within whatever we are going, it's a big medical college, we will be handled with the best treatment, the best evidence guidelines. When you switch to a private clinic setup, or you switch to a setup where people are contacting you, it is very different, because my idea of what I'm struggling and how I can be helped is from where the doctor starts. We do not start with how infertility is in the medical terminology, the surgical terminology, and how it should be started from there. We need to start from where people are coming and what is their idea and how we can best help them based on that comfort. So comfort, I would say, is the first word, which should be, that's the approach that one has to take, a very delicate, sensitive approach to talking to these couples, because they are already scarred. There's a lot of self-doubt, there's a lot of inconfidence, there's a lot of pain. A lot of them are coming together. A lot of them are coming together after huge fights. So, you know, they are sitting separately in the waiting areas and in the waiting rooms, and which is okay. So they need to be given their comfort, their space, their safety of time. That is the biggest thing. And obviously an option of treatment which suits what they want, because it's not like other medical conditions, 1, 2, 3, and then after the 3, there you are cured of whatever, X, Y, Z. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Despite doing the 1, 2, 3, you don't receive the 3.
Yes, so it's an altogether different set of challenge for
right.
So
every sequence of 1, 2, 3 is correct. Maybe the couple places it differently. Maybe we place it differently. Maybe an alternative medicine person would place it differently.
So it's basically patient-led, and you're just mirroring what they want to, what they say.
We just open a comfortable dialogue. Take them through a series of questions if they are comfortable. Or a lot of times at the first interview, people are not, you know, willing for a lot of evaluation or stuff, you know, a lot of counseling. They just want to outpour themselves. They've been through a lot socially in their marriages. And then if they're willing, they can schedule a second visit. Then we take them through the screening, which is screening for severity of stress, mood disorders, anxiety disorders, couple-related issues, anything related to that domain, the amount of strain that they're having. And then that brings out both the good parts of handling their distress and then the poorer parts of doing and what can be done in better ways. So a lot of couples do not need a lot of treatment.
Yes, right, actually. And you can't really, I mean, the couples, I'm not talking in terms of money, but they cannot afford to be handheld by a psychologist for a large part of their lives, because life must go on.
Huge,
so it's very unhealthy to be dependent on the psychologist all the time.
Correct. And then they're not really the people who are, you know, unstable psychologically or psychiatrically. A lot of them are not.
Yes. Just having a little bit of trouble accepting the changes in their lives.
Yeah, it's the impact of the blow. When a big hammer hits our heads, you know, for a minute you would feel dizzy, you know, be thinking it's going blur, but then over a period of time you settle up. There's a lot of work now which says that people settle well, people readjust. In fact, I have a recent paper which you've written for Taylor and Francis on resilience in couples in going through infertility. They're quite resilient.
Yes, people are resilient. When a couple comes to you, according to, so we're not talking about the factors contributing to infertility in a couple. No, we're not going to touch that. But in India, right, women face a lot of pushback, a lot of stigma, a lot of pain, rejection. And I think it's double the same feeling for women. And it looks like it starts from the family, this rejection. Why do you think that's happening?
See, in places such as Asia, including India, we are a procreation-based society. As I said, you know, we believe in having social groups, being knit with others. We grew up that way, we live that way, and that's natural. We are a very procreation centric society. We grow with others, we learn with others, we mature with others, we grow old with others, and that's the progression, that's the psyche that goes at the back of the head, that we grow along those lines.
Yes.
An individual and getting married and then having children and then having lots of children and having a certain kind of children and then not having another set of children and then getting them educated in certain ways. So that's how it's at the back of the mind. This is natural.
Yes.
It's not about being right or wrong, but this is natural. Now, when a couple deviates from this natural progression, one doesn't see that extension happening. So I got my kid married and then it was a big event and then it's been some time to marriage, but then now you are not any newly married couple. You were supposed to progress to the next stage of progeny, having children, of your reproductive growth. That is not happening.
Yes.
It's not really, if you see it from a biological point of view, humans don't need to procreate. We are there in large numbers, but it's a social need. And that is how the culture is placed. Now, when that doesn't happen, it is seen as a deviance. That is similar to not getting married. It's a deviance. It's a social deviance. It's not very well accepted. That is similar to, having a jail term or getting divorced or getting separated. It's not very well taken. There's stigma attached to all of those values, but people are there to empathize with you at those fallbacks. Somebody gets divorced, there are people to empathize. Somebody gets separated, somebody's having miscarriage, so there are people to empathize. Here, people don't acknowledge that if something is missing, means the person is trying their best. They have not decided to be childless.
Yeah, nobody decides to go through.
Nobody decides within their best capacity, personal, social, financial comfort. A lot of women might not be comfortable with a lot of invasive procedures, but not that they don't want to have a child. They are just having a lot of fear.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Yeah. So in a way, when we look at animals, animals tend to reject the ones who are weak,
Yeah.
And so maybe that same concept applies here also, because when it comes to fertility issues, or somebody not getting married, like you say, or somebody not, walking in the accepted norms, it's a deviation. And therefore, the first response is maybe to just reject.
Right. So we come back to why. You posed a question saying, why is it so? So it's like, why are you so?
Yes.
Why is that not happening? That why is very painful. It's a very judgmental stance to start off with.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, with the best intention, people have this knack of saying very nasty things. Yeah. They think that they're comforting others, but in reality, for those going through that experience, it could be very hurtful.
So yes, that comes in the form of unsolicited advice.
Yes. And our culture,
societies, that comes in the form of magical religious cures that people provide.
Yes, yes.
So it's a very thin line, and see, they would say it just as somebody going through diabetes or hypertension also gets that kind of a dietary advice and physical restriction advice, and then yoga, do this, do that. But this thing hurts. It hurts far more.
Yes, yes. Could you explain to us the psychological impact of infertility for both men and women?
Sure. So, see, one is just a short thing on the impact. Grief is not seen.
Yes.
A woman's grief is in the form of she's trying to conceive, and then she hopes for a conception one day. It's not this month or next, but when eventually getting there. And we know that this grief falls into that cyclic menstrual phase where every month there is a hope. Yeah. I just cleared my menses and now there is a hope, maybe this month or next month. And, in our interviews with people, a lot of them develop, fear of having a cycle this month, or extreme pre and perimenstrual worsening of mood symptoms. Just because when they get those cramps, they start anticipating, oh shucks, probably I would end up having a cycle this month also, or I just had it. I did everything on earth possible, and I had another cycle. So that grief, the physical difficulties, the emotional longing, in which 10-15 days of every month is a hope, and then the later period, the week later, is despair and worry and anxiety. What will happen this month? So that is one huge aspect. The void, what we just discussed about. So there's a void, and then there are ways in women are trying to fill that void. Women are mostly centric towards discussing their issues with others, the ones particularly in our society, seeking more social support, seeking appropriate ways of emotional calming, emotional venting, scheduling their lives around that. When you talk about men, on the other hand, it's more of esteem related issue. It's more of my masculinity related issue. So what would be taken for a person like me who is successful in XYZ platform, or who is fairly doing well and has a good amount of plan, but is lacking in one aspect of life. So it's mostly centered around, do they really see me as strong enough? Or will I be as attractive? Am I good enough? That thing hits them very badly. But then the way men process it is they would not be as vocal. A lot of emotional issues would be happening. They are more centered around avoidance. When they tend to cope, it is more centered around problem-focused coping, getting more information to solve the medical problem, which is there this month. That may be some dropping semen counts. You take XYZ pills and eventually you will get there. So it's more of a problem-focused coping. It's less of, no, I am not suffering, or okay, it may be there, but we can't do anything around it, so let's just cut it off. It's more problem-focused coping. If we can't do anything, then you just avoid it, or you just ignore it. Men are focused around that, mostly it's like that. Women are more emotional focused in terms of they want more of talking, discussing, comforting, validation. And that's when, when these couples come for therapy, it's important that both of them learn to exchange their ways of handling it.
So true.
Yeah. When that gets counterbalanced, the man becomes a little emotionally centric, the woman becomes a little problem centric. Instead of counterbalances their worry.
So a lot of problem could be that they're both facing the same emotions, but the way they project it, the way they work around it is different. The application is different. And so they're not, one is thinking that the other person doesn't care. One is also thinking the other person doesn't care. On top of that, the social pressure, family pressure, all coming into play.